LMK when you start streaming.
I'm streaming right now.
Yo, 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 yo.
Alright, we got the first video tonight. I think post noties are out, chat. Snapchat's Darkest Corners. This one's gonna be good. Tell it's really good. I'm here with Zach. You read the title, or you didn't, you just clicked on it. Let's go.
As Snapchat. Now, from Unk's perspective, I don't use that app anymore. I haven't used it in like half a decade. But I'm aware that a lot of you youngins, for some reason, still use Snapchat. I mean, I don't know how you haven't moved on to Instagram or just mainly use it. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is, I've been wanting to cover Snapchat for a long time now.
Zach,
I mean,
how many hours on Snapchat do you have a week? Like, on average, would you say?
Like 23, 24.
Like a whole fucking day out of the week on Snap, bro. I might
this
get
journey
like
of trying to cover
5.
every dark side of every
It's
social
not
media.
even that
And there are
bad.
some outliers like Twitter, for example. Twitter's just a cesspool. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to make a video on that one.
I
But
love
when it came
Twitter.
to Snapchat, it's kind of niche. Like, it really is kind of niche to find dark stories that have happened on Snapchat. I mean, don't get me wrong. We were able to do it in this video. But there's a reason this one isn't named The Dangerous World of Snapchat Criminals. Because not every story I'm going to tell you guys today is about a criminal. Some of these people were just victims. And don't even worry about subscribing. I will earn your subscription by the end of this video.
Exactly.
So we're starting off with
Chill
Corby
out.
Eisman, the man that used SnapMap to be a creep. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Well,
Yo, what's
half the
good,
people that are
Landon?
using
Hold on, let me
SnapMap are
open
probably
chat.
creeps. And to that I say, yeah, you're probably right. I just wanted to get that out of the way before I tell you the story. In late 2022, Corby Eisman, a 25-year-old man from Flagler County, Florida, contacted a 16-year-old girl through Snapchat. At first,
Can you
the
hear me?
messages seemed like typical online small talk.
Yeah, I can
But
hear
what
you.
the girl didn't know was that behind the scenes, Eisman was doing much more than just having a casual conversation. He was actually tracking her every move. He had been doing so by combining Snapchat's SnapMap feature with metadata embedded in her stories. This allowed him to pinpoint her exact location. So the SnapMap feature basically allows users to post photos publicly and share real-time location with their friends or, like in this case, someone random that they're chatting with. Like I was saying, on Snapchat, there are two ways to publicly
Yeah,
put yourself
you guys
out there.
are, like,
So you can post a story
absolutely
and
outta
toggle
there.
whether you want your location on for it, and then random people can like zoom in on the Snapchat map and just see what's going on, for example, at a college campus and see people's stories that have publicly toggled that setting. And you can separately also have your location
Zach,
always
that's
on,
you.
and that allows your friends to see
It's not.
exactly where you're at. I always thought that feature was insanely creepy. So if you haven't already, I strongly suggest enabling ghost mode. So yeah, Eisman didn't need much else. And he didn't just know the location and stop there, no. He used it to physically locate the girl. He arranged to meet her, and then, in an even more disturbing twist, he essayed her. Oh, and it gets worse. He didn't essay her just once, he did so repeatedly in his home and vehicle over a 2-month period. Now, the Flagler County Sheriff's Office began investigating on
months?
August 31st, 2022, after receiving a report of a possible sexual offense involving a teenage girl and an older male. According to the victim, Eisman said he was 19, yeah, the man was lying about his age, and he was fully aware that she was underage. Flagler County Sheriff
Yep,
Rick
and they
Saley
got him.
stated,
They got
"This
him,
is
right?"
exactly why we encourage everyone to be very cautious of what you post on social media and the platforms you use." He went on to caution that something as, quote, innocent as a picture, which gives out your location, can put you in front of people that would be eager to victimize you. He also encouraged parents to sort of pay more attention to social media and how their kids use it. You know, the usual but important stuff like talking to them about safety while being online, finding out what they're doing online, and cautioning them on how quickly that seemingly innocent post can make them a victim. Anyway, Eisman was arrested on September 1st of 2022 and charged with felony sexual
I hope they
battery on a
murked him in
victim under
prison,
17
for
years
real.
of age.
I hope they
He
just-
was later released on a $40,000 bond from the Sheriff Perry Hall Inmate Detention
Hey,
Facility.
crush this shit.
Wow, that was a mouthful. As of the latest available information, on February 12th of 2024, Eisman pleaded guilty to 1 count of unlawful sexual activity with certain minors. He was sentenced to 2
Landon's
years in a
comment.
Department of Corrections
What'd it
facility,
say?
followed by 8 years of sex offender probation.
Been
Now, the
there, done
Flagler
that,
County
guy.
Sheriff's Office, after urging parents to
On
closely monitor
Insta, got
their children's
nothing on
internet
me.
and social media activity and all that, commended the major case unit for their work in building a solid case against Eisman, which led to the conviction.
Hold up.
Alejandro Marquez abused the quick ad feature. Next up is a rather
Go.
unsettling story of how a 27-year-old man from
Quick ad.
Albuquerque, New Mexico,
Oh.
used Snapchat to prey on an 11-year-old girl.
Oh, okay,
This
never
happened in
mind.
December
Go.
2022 when the guy
Go.
Marquez used the app's quick ad feature, a tool designed
Bro,
to
it
help
won't
users
let
and
me see
friends
my,
befriend the girl. Apparently, Marquez offered the girl money to meet up in person,
Fucking
which they unfortunately
chat.
did.
I'm gonna have to open
Sadly,
my
that
own
was just the
screen.
beginning because over several
Pull
meetings,
it up.
he essayed her multiple times before the victim's family discovered what had been happening and intervened by contacting law enforcement. The case moved swiftly through the justice system, and in
My bad,
August
chat.
2023, Marquez pled guilty to the serious charges including criminal essay of a child under 13, criminal sexual contact of a minor, solicitation, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. The judge sentenced him to 18 years in prison, followed by sex offender probation, parole, and lifetime registration of a sex offender. But this
I'm gonna
case
have
is
to
more
put this
than
guy in
just this
timeout
one
for a
man's
minute.
crime.
That's a first
It's been
offense,
said to be
dog.
a highlight of
First
a much
offense.
bigger problem
First
with
offense, you're getting a
Snapchat
minute.
and social media platforms in
What'd he
general.
say?
A problem that needs stopping.
Yeah, what you
And
read
some
to
have
me, I
tried
just
because the Mexico's
timed
Attorney
him out for a
General,
minute
Raul
for it.
Torres took stand in 2024
You
by
can't
filing
stand for
a
that
lawsuit
around here,
against
mate.
Snap
Can't
Incorporated,
do that.
the company behind
You
Snapchat.
can't do
The
that.
lawsuit alleged that Snapchat's features, especially Quick Ad, make it dangerously easy for predators to find and exploit children. It also argued that the app's design encourages
Wait.
quick, casual
Okay,
conversation
that looked a
without
little bit
strong
off,
age
but it's 'cause it
verification
was
or
going
safety
down
checks, allowing
on
predators
here,
like
not
Marquez
up
to slip
there.
through the cracks. What's worse, going by the same lawsuit, is that Snapchat promotes the idea that messages disappear forever, giving users a false sense of security. Actually, on that, investigators found that predators can save and share explicit images indefinitely, so not really gone
What?
forever. Also, nothing
No
stopping
way.
a good old
I didn't
using
know
their
that.
phone to take a picture of the screen. That's actually something that came up after the New Mexico Department of Justice's undercover work uncovered a disturbing network of dark websites trading stolen Snapchat images, many involving minors. They even created a fake Snapchat account
Whoa.
pretending to be a 14-year-old girl named Heather, which quickly attracted messages from accounts like child.rword and PDF file lover. With a username like PDF file lover, doesn't that mean that you love PDF
Wait, what was
files?
his name?
Isn't that? I don't know. I just
Chat.
thought that was interesting while reading this. Also, Marquez's exploitation
Nah.
of Snapchat's features and the resulting abuse of the child sparked wider scrutiny of social media platforms' responsibility to protect minors, not just on Snapchat. The New Mexico Department of Justice's lawsuit, for instance, followed a similar legal action against Meta platforms for enabling child exploitation. Also, law enforcement agencies in New Mexico
The word
make
no
increased efforts
exists?
to combat online
Yeah.
child exploitation through operations like Operation Overwatch, which led to
But
the
like,
arrest of
people should
suspected
be
predators
smarter.
using social
Lil
media
Twan,
tools
that's
to
just
target
not funny,
minors.
Lil Twan.
The Ahmed and Colin case, their kidnap, torture, and murders made it onto Snapchat. This one happened a few
Yeah.
years ago, also in Albuquerque,
They're
New
like
Mexico,
them,
but it
they
was just one of
did
those
it,
cases
or-
that kept getting worse the deeper you looked into it. It involved two teenagers, 14-year-old Ahmed Latif and 15-year-old Colin Romero, and it starts the same way as the other stories we talked about, on Snapchat.
Shank, shank, shank.
So let's start in December of 2018. Colin's mother, Kimbrell, reported him missing right before Christmas after she had heard about a Snapchat video and picture showing her son and his friend Ahmed being beaten. A friend had also called her and expressed concern that Colin had gone to buy marijuana but never returned. The video showed the teens being pistol whipped, unconscious, and possibly suffering
Damn.
broken bones. At the time of his death, Ahmed also had a felony out for his arrest and was an alleged absconder.
These
of the
two
law.
had
Now, the story that
felonies
unfolded
out for
after
their
is even more
arrest?
disturbing. Ahmed Latif, according to investigators, had
these
tried to
little
buy a
niggas
gun.
had-
He
Bro, I
apparently
can't
reached out to
pause the
someone through
fucking
Snapchat
video.
and was allegedly looking to arm himself
What
for
the
some
fuck
kind of
is going
retaliation on a guy
man?
named Flex. That person that he
Is
contacted
that
on
talk, dude?
Snapchat was Stefan.
Bro, these little dudes had felony warrants out for their arrest, chat. These little boys had felony warrants out for their
Hey, don't say that
arrest.
too loud. Oh, don't say that too
What are you talking about, bro? You're finna get banned.
loud. My fault, my fault.
And Goldman Jr., 22 at the time. But then Godman wasn't a lone gun salesman. He was a part of a trio that would later accost him. From the
God
reports,
damn.
Goldman
Jimmy
Jr., along with 19-year-old
Jimmy
Jimmy
Atkins.
Atkins, nicknamed Flex, and 18-year-old Julio Almentero, lured Ahmed and Colin out to the West Mesa area. In an
Those
apartment
people aren't
drug deal.
real.
Once in the car, Ahmed and Colin were ambushed. They were beaten, tortured, and then executed. Ahmed was shot 19
Thank you for
times,
102 subs.
Colin
Thank you
9
for 102
times, and their bodies
subs.
wouldn't be found
Love
until
all y'all.
weeks later, when they were discovered buried in a shallow
Reese
grave in
has a
Santa Barbara
warrant.
County. The
Wait,
investigation
does he
led to the
really?
arrest and conviction of three
No.
individuals, Stephen Goldman Jr., Jimmy Atkins, and Julio
What did he
Almentero.
do?
All three were found guilty of first-degree murder, kidnapping, armed robbery, and tampering with evidence. In May of 2023, they were each sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms plus additional years in prison. Additional individuals
Wait,
faced
for real
charges
though, does
their
Reese
roles
have a
after the
warrant?
murders. Stephen Goldman Sr., father of Stephen Goldman Jr., helped conceal the evidence by burning the car used to dispose of the bodies and accepted a plea deal resulting in a 4-year
Bro, they
prison
did all of
sentence.
this over
Julio
some side?
Almentero's
I
uncle,
wasn't paying
Anthony
attention for
Aragon,
that.
assisted in dumping and burying of
Neither
the
was I.
bodies and was sentenced to 6 years in prison. The Liam Birchfield case. got addicted to Snapchat until he offed himself. This next story centers on 17-year-old Liam Birchfield from Tennessee, whose life was tragically cut short on July 6th of 2021. But before we get to that day, let's rewind a little bit to where it all started. For context, Liam enjoyed playing his guitar and planned to join the United States Air Force after high school. Like many teens, he started using Snapchat and Instagram in middle school. At first, it was just for fun, sharing snaps with friends, chatting, and scrolling through stories. Nothing unusual there, but over time, this grew into something so much darker. According to the lawsuit filed by his family in 2022, Liam became addicted to Snapchat.
Snapchat's a good app, but like it's
feeds,
not
messaging strangers,
that good.
and chasing snap streaks. Those daily message chains that Snapchat rewards, which can feel like a game but also a pressure to keep going. His family noticed he was pulling away, becoming anxious and depressed. They tried to help, but Liam was caught in a cycle he just couldn't break. What made things worse was the kind of content Liam was watching. The lawsuit revealed that he was exposed to firearm-related material on Snapchat, which he somehow found fascinating. Now, this toxic mix led Liam to start self. And despite his family's efforts, his mental health really spiraled. In the weeks before July 6th, Liam's family watched helplessly as his condition worsened. They sought counseling and tried to limit his phone use, but all that was futile. Then,
Nah, that's not even the fucking
Liam
parents'
died by
fault. I can't lie.
self-inflicted gunshot.
Hey, what's up,
His
Marcus?
family's lawsuit argues that Snapchat failed to warn users about the risks of addiction and exposure to harmful content.
Yes, Tub is
Instead, the
such a
platform
W.
prioritized
Thank
keeping
you.
users engaged, using features like disappearing messages and algorithm-driven content recommendations that trap teens like Liam in cycles of compulsive use. Now, Liam's story is one of many that are fueling lawsuits against social media giants like Snap Incorporated and Meta Platforms, just like we saw
So
in
he
the
got
previous
addicted
case.
to
And these
streaks,
cases
so he
claim the
killed
companies
himself.
designed their apps to
Yeah,
be
they
addictive
must have
and
been
knowingly
feeling them
expose
bitch-ass
teens
streaks.
to damaging content, making it difficult for parents to protect their kids.
Like,
The CJ Dollar
He lost
case.
his
Self-consciousness due
1,000-day
to social
streak.
media
I
led to
lost
a
my
devastating
streak.
end. For the second time in this video,
He
we're diving into
uphold
a case
at
where
himself.
Snapchat led to depression, which led
Hey,
to
but that's not funny there,
devastating
guys.
end. In this case, 17
Yeah,
year
it's
old
not funny.
Ollie, a high school senior from the
hilarious.
small town of Salem, Wisconsin, was the victim. On January 4th of 2015, CJ fatally shot himself, leaving behind a note written on the back of his college acceptance letter. His story is that back in December of 2014, CJ started having pain in his legs and became convinced something was seriously wrong with his body. Fast forward to that day in January, while his family took down Christmas decorations, he went to his room, texted his best friend Godspeed, posted "Who Turned Out the Light" on Facebook, and wrote a goodbye note on the envelope of his college acceptance letter. He
Damn.
then picked up a .22 caliber rifle on one hand and held
You
his phone
died
in the
to
other
a
hand.
22.
His family thought he was sleeping, and that meant no one close to him knew
Hey, that ain't
anything
funny,
until
bro.
5 hours
That ain't
later.
It is funny
Check
you
on
said
it.
that.
Now CJ has
That
been
ain't-
using Facebook,
that ain't funny,
Instagram,
bro.
and Snapchat since 2012.
Bro,
starting
that's
from when he was
not
just
real.
14.
The
And
nigga
over
That ain't funny.
Pole at
Chris
his
Madonna,
own
they saw
self.
changes. His phone, for
Because
example,
his
was
legs
always
hurt.
red.
My
He
summer's
started
going
staying up until
good.
3 a.m. on
Marcus,
school
how's
nights,
yours going?
Became more withdrawn. And
When's your
more
birthday
anxious
coming
about
up
his
soon,
appearance.
Marcus?
And what really alarmed them was when they discovered that he'd been exchanging explicit photos. But despite that, CJ
Nigga.
never
What?
showed any typical warning
Nigga,
signs.
yo, he
He worked
deaf
as a
got his
busboy
meat
at
pick
Texas
leaked.
Roadhouse in
He definitely just got his meat pick leaked, and then he up pole at his own self. Zach, that's
He
gonna
didn't
end
up
up
pole.
like that's gonna end up being you, dog. That's gonna end up being
he up to
you,
22, Michael. 22.
bro. What was that gonna do? What do you think the 20? He probably had to shoot himself several times.
That was
Wisconsin, balancing his job with a deep love for
Hella
music and a passion
sweet.
for
Hey, what's
watching
up,
Doctor
everybody?
Who, a standout student. He also caught the attention of top-tier colleges across the country. His mother, Donna Dolly, said his counselor said he could get a free ride anywhere he wanted to go. Interestingly, after his death, his parents started piecing together what had really been going on behind the screen, and in April of 2022, they filed a lawsuit against Meta Platforms and Snap Inc., accusing both companies of knowingly designing their platforms to be addictive, especially to teens. According to them, CJ had been hooked by
You know
features like
Snapchat
videos,
was
Of course I
made
remember.
for
algorithmic
nude
content
exchange.
and Snapchat's
You
trophy
said what,
system,
Zach?
and that was all tied in with
You know
growing
Snapchat
pressure
was
around body image and
made
messaging. The lawsuit
just
points
so
to
it's
internal
easier to send
research,
nudes.
some of which came out
I
after
kid you
whistleblower
not.
Francis
Cap.
Howell's
That's
what the
testimony,
designer-
showing that Meta
I
knew
kid
how
you
harmful
not.
Instagram was to
Nah,
teens, but
we're
they
looking that
didn't
up.
notice.
I think he's
I
lying.
kid you not.
Snap, for its
One of the
part, responded by
creators
saying
just
Snapchat
wanted
was
to make
built
it so
connect
it's easier
real-life
to send
friends
them.
and offered in-app mental health.
Yeah, none of these say
Bro, he was in a video about the creators of Snapchat.
nope. None of these say it. I mean, like, why are you capping, bro?
Bro, I'm not. I saw it in a video, bro. I saw it in a video. I saw it in a video. I put that on. my life. I saw that in a video.
Yeah. It says, according to the developers, Eve Spiegel, Bobby Murphy, and Reggie Brown, Snapchat was created to offer a new way of communicating that emphasized spontaneous. You get it, bro. This says nothing about no nudes, big dog.
Bro, it was in a video.
What video, bro? Let's watch the video. What video?
Look up, why was Snapchat created?
Chat. This one?
No.
This
The ghost. The ghost that haunts Zuckerberg.
Shut up. No, where is the video at? Don't lie me. How
I
Snapchat
don't-
started?
I don't know.
Oh, lying ass. You're lying.
Bro, it was
for no
on
reason.
Instagram. It was
Why
on
would you say that?
Instagram.
Why didn't
It
you
was on
say that? I'm
YouTube.
not going to open Instagram on my stream, but why would you not say that? Fuck. You're so dumb. Shut the fuck up, Fuzzy. No offense to you, but
in-app mental
Calm
health
down.
tools, but neither company has commented directly on CJ's case since the litigation is still ongoing. Now, for CJ's story, apparently
You did?
dozens of other families have joined the same lawsuit,
I'm chilling.
all saying the same thing, that their kids were pulled into a digital world that was never
It's
built with
their
their safety
fault,
in
bro.
mind. The group representing them is called the Social Media Victims Law Center. The
low
France
key is they
case.
fault though.
Tracked and stabbed the guy he found with his girlfriend. Again, we're dealing with the
Reasonable.
SnapMap
That's
feature,
yeah,
and
but
the
then
controversy that erupted shortly after it was launched on Wednesday, June 2017. To recap, this feature allows users to share their real-time location with friends on a map, showing exactly where they are at any given moment. Shortly after this launch, reports surfaced in
came and
Utah
poked
that
him.
SnapMap was breeding party crashers. Teens and young adults were looking through pictures or videos on SnapMap to find parties, then heading to the area and driving around until they found the house. Once there, some either stole or broke items. Parents and child safety advocates were quick to raise the alarm. Many pointed out that SnapMap's default settings made it easy for users, especially minors, to share their locations with a broad circle of friends. The app's ghost mode, which disables location sharing, was off by default, meaning users were unknowingly exposing themselves. Experts warned that predators no longer needed to physically stalk children. They could simply open an app and see exactly where vulnerable users were in real time. Now the months that followed were even crazier with stories, and it got really dark. One such case is a case from France where a guy stalked his girlfriend and went on to stab the guy that he found with his girl. So why am I just saying the guy and not saying any actual names? Well, my team and I found this article and it's all French, so we used Google Translate, and even they didn't say their names for some reason, but all my sources will be linked down below. For context, SnapMap had quickly found a very interesting use at the
Why
time.
did I do
Actual
that? I'm
cheaters.
so
This
damn
wasn't
dumb.
actually the first case where someone had been caught.
Why did I
cheating
just
using
do
the tool.
that?
There was, for example, a
I'm
story
so
on Twitter
stupid.
in 2017 when a woman posted how
Oh
she
my
tracked her
God,
boyfriend driving to a
dude.
different girl's house and spending time at the
Hold
location.
on, story.
Anyway, back to the case in France. It said that the 25-year-old man had not been happy that his girl wasn't
It was
picking up on
fake.
Halloween night when they were supposed to be together. She didn't
No,
know her
it
location
doesn't
was
matter.
on, and she wasn't
Nah.
answering her phone,
Oh,
so
it's
he
barely
resorted to
even-
SnapMap.
it's not even in
Armed with a
frame, I
knife,
don't
He
care.
followed its lead and
Ha.
found her sitting in a car with another dude.
Alright, I watched
He argued
it
with the
over.
guy before
It was
stabbing
not
him
even
in
in
the thigh.
chat.
And in a rather weird
No
twist,
funny shit.
when arrested and questioned about it, his response was that he was jealous and his violent tendencies, even towards his girl, were because she was the one that, quote, seeks it. Now, like I've already mentioned,
What?
Snapchat's
She
response to
seeks
such
it?
situations
What are
is
you
pretty much the
talking
same.
about,
They argued
man?
that SnapMap was opt-in
That
and that
is
users could control
crazy.
who saw their location.
She
They say the
seeks-
app only
bro, she
updates location
seeks
when
it.
it's open and that users could enter ghost
She
mode to
seeks
hide their
the
location
pain.
entirely.
Yo, what a fucking
The
loser.
Lucas Sutton case. His murder was planned on Snapchat by his quote-unquote friends.
No
Now
fucking
imagine
way.
this. Being lured out for drinks by people
I
you
would kill
once
him
called
too,
friends.
I'm not
Then
gonna
they
lie.
turn out to be the
Yo.
same people that make sure you never get back home. As scary as it sounds, that was the
Ref,
reality for Lucas
do
Sutton,
something
a
about
22-year-old father
that.
from Croydon, UK. He lost his life in a brutal, premeditated attack that was planned through Snapchat. Now, like I
Oh,
said,
that's
Lucas
crazy.
wasn't a stranger to the people who ended up taking his life. In fact, he used to be friends with one of them,
Damn.
but that friendship had turned fatal. According to police, Lucas had tried to get rid of a gun he was holding onto for the group, which they interpreted as him being a traitor. On the night of May 23rd, 2023, Lucas had met up with Keon Williams, age 21, and Kai Nelson Palmer, age 17, and they walked together to a local shop to buy drinks, seemingly casual, like nothing was wrong. But what Lucas didn't know was that his two so-called friends had been plotting to attack him for days, messaging back and forth on Snapchat. As they walked back, Williams pulled out a knife and stabbed Lucas. In reaction,
Damn.
Lucas dropped the drinks and ran, but both attackers chased after him. Williams, who was faster, caught up and stabbed him again. In a desperate
No.
attempt to survive, Lucas then ran into a
Policia,
local pub,
no.
begging for help, before collapsing on the floor. He later died in the hospital. In April of 2024, both Williams and Nelson Palmer were convicted of murder.
That's
Williams
crazy.
received a life sentence with a minimum term of 23 years. Nelson Palmer, being younger, got a minimum of 16 years. A third man, 19 years old, was acquitted. It was also clear that Lucas, who left behind a young son, feared for his life in the weeks before the attack. Friends and family had, for example, noticed he had grown distant and anxious. He had even confided that he had, quote, upset people and felt unsafe. The Kyle Wally case. His killer posted his body on Snapchat like a trophy.
What?
On July 11th of 2021, 19-year-old Kyle Wally invited his friend over to watch the Euro 2025.
No mercy,
and
Mexico looking
maybe
our
as
boy.
any typical friend would,
That's not
was
even.
expecting
He's
football,
not even
drinks,
Mexican.
and
You're
a
just
chill
saying
evening. What he got
stupid.
instead was nothing close. He met violence and death, and his body posted on Snapchat like a trophy by the killer, 20-year-old Mark
What?
Jones. Now, like I said, Mark was his
It's
friend.
still
The two had
crazy.
known
I'm
each
still
other for
thinking
a
about that.
considerable
Like, why
while.
did you
So
post it,
again,
Joe?
it was really disturbing that Mark even filmed
Fake
the
friends,
aftermath and
yes.
posted it
Mark
on
is
Snapchat.
exactly
So
right.
what really happened? Well, first, the location. The attack took place inside Kyle's kitchen in Rosimidir, Wrexham. The two had been watching
looks
the
like he
England
likes
versus
getting
Italy match
pegged.
together, and Snapchat
You're
footage
a
showing
grown boy,
Jones
bro.
drinking cider and bourbon.
You
joked
said you were gonna
stabbing
get pegged
motions at
earlier.
Kyle's back. A strange
No,
thing to do.
pegged,
He had
like
even
when
sent
people
messages
throw
a day
things
before
hard
the
at
murder
you.
with a picture of himself and a cartoon
No,
knife
Michael,
captioned,
no,
"I'm going to
no,
stab you
no.
tomorrow." This is actually part of the argument that was had in court
Fucking
regarding the premeditated
idiot.
nature of the act. Jurors were shown videos
Idiot.
after the murder. One had Jones with blood on his hands, looking straight into the camera and saying he stabbed up Kyle and was, quote, going to do time.
Yo,
Another
these
clip
niggas
showed
are
him
so
stomping on
funny.
Kyle's lifeless body. More details were that apparently a friend who was on the phone with Kyle during the attack heard him yell, "Put the knife down," followed by screaming and then Jones shouting, "I'm sorry, it's my ADHD." Yup, he tried blaming it on
Put the
ADHD.
phone
He also
down.
claimed that he acted in self-defense, claiming that Kyle came at
ADHD
him
is
from the
crazy.
first. The jury didn't buy
Bro
it.
out there
On
acting
March
like
16th,
Patty
2023,
Bateman
Mark
and
Jones
is
was
talking
found
about
guilty. A day later,
ADHD.
he was sentenced to life in
You know I
prison
like to
with a
murder
minimum
women.
term of
I'm
16
utterly
years and
insane.
126 days. And the judge let him
You're
have it,
utterly
calling his
insane.
actions despicable, and adding that Kyle was killed not out of fear or panic, but just because Jones wanted attention, sort of like notoriety, just to be seen. That's why he
North
filmed
Wales,
and shared
stop
the incident,
playing.
for views and validation. His exact words, "You filmed and broadcasted images of Kyle clutching his chest and begging you to put the knife down." He then went on about how Kyle collapsed dead on the floor, Mark kicked and stomped on his body, shouting vile things at him.
He's a
The judge
hood-ass
concluded that he
nigga.
was satisfied that Mark did that deliberately
Mhm.
because he wanted to be seen humiliating Kyle. The Selena Rodriguez case, addicted and blackmailed to death. This
What?
one took place in Enfield, Connecticut. It involved
How'd
an
he get
11-year-old
blackmailed
girl
to
named
death?
Selena Rodriguez,
Till
and it started
death.
the way a lot of these cases do now through social media, direct messages from strangers, and no meaningful way for a
Hold
child
on.
to navigate it safely. Now, all this began after
Man, I don't
Selena
forget about my
was
ice cream,
9.
dog.
This was when she began using Instagram and Snapchat. At first, it looked innocent. Filters, selfies, group chats with classmates, probably like what it is with most teens. But within months, things escalated. Her family noticed she was spending hours a day on her phone, and her mother, Tammy Rodriguez, tried to intervene. She deleted the apps and took her
Hours a
phone away,
day?
but Selena would apparently always find a way back. Downloaded the apps again on borrowed phones, used friends' devices, or secretly reinstalled them. Around this time, then came the messages. Strange men were contacting her, and even more disgustingly, some were pressuring her for explicit photos. According to a lawsuit later filed by her mother, Selena unfortunately gave in to the
What
pressure.
the
The images
hell?
were shared, then circulated. Word got out at school, and then the bullying started. She began being mocked by students, with some calling her names, and the psychological effect was immediate and devastating, and she changed. She began isolating herself, skipping meals, staying up late at night with her phone under the covers. She started showing signs of depression and self-harm. Her mother, who couldn't just stand by and watch, tried to intervene by taking her to therapy, where she got diagnosed with severe social media addiction. However, even with treatment, the pull was just too powerful. Her family described it as a battle they couldn't win. On July 21st of 2021, Selena Rodriguez died by she was just 11 years old. Now, like we've seen in some other cases, this led to a wrongful death lawsuit, which was filed in January of 2022 by the Social Media Victims Law Center on behalf of her mother. The suit named both Meta Platforms and Snap Inc. as defendants, accusing them of creating addictive and dangerous platforms that failed to protect minors. It also alleged everything we just saw in the other cases, but also uniquely pointed out that neither platform had effective parental controls or reliable age verification, allowing Selena to open and use accounts without her mother's consent. The lawsuit also cited internal research and whistleblower testimony showing that both Meta and Snap had been warned about the mental health risks associated with their platforms, particularly for young users, but continued to prioritize gross and engagement metrics. Snap Inc. issued a statement expressing condolences and reiterated their investment in safety tools. Meta did not comment publicly on the case.
It
The
says Zachary's
overdosing
wilding
teens
today.
placed pills
What'd you
allegedly from
say?
Snapchat dealers. For the most part, you and your parents or teachers, or whoever probably did this too, you all get these warnings about social media and bullies and creeps that are on there, and maybe some dark content. But then, this next case shows the dark side where teens basically have drugs in their face, in an actually insane way. First case is that of Sammy Berman, a 16-year-old described by those around him as smart, just a regular teen that loved playing video games upstairs in his room. He also was excited about life, and even had an internship lined up and everything. On the particular day he died, his mom, Dr. Laura Berman, a well-known relationship and sex expert that has even been on programs like Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Oz, said he had been upstairs playing his usual games with friends. Then when she went upstairs to talk with him about his internship, she found him lying on the floor, unconscious and not breathing. It later became apparent that he had taken a pill, what he thought was Xanax, but it wasn't. It was laced with fentanyl, and it unfortunately killed him. And where did he get it? Well, from someone on Snapchat. And that's the part his mom said she couldn't.
He got that from Punch Made Dad.
According to her, she knew Sammy used social media, and she even thought it was helping him stay connected.
Bro, that ain't funny, bro. That ain't funny, bro.
She didn't know that drug dealers allegedly were also right there on the same platform.
But that's cap. His head did not have no Zanny bars.
Are you watching your own stream?
I have to see what chat says. Nah, he was not popping Zanny bars. I refuse to believe that.
Nah, bro. He was just snorting fent.
But they laced Punch made him.
The thing is, Sammy
the
wasn't the only one. In fact,
Punch made laced his shit.
I'm not smiling.
That died from fentanyl overdose that they allegedly bought via Snapchat.
That shit ain't funny.
It became a whole lawsuit that Snapchat had to respond to.
Shit ain't
and the
funny,
cases
bro.
were all grim to some level. For example, around the same time, there's a case of Amy Neville, who on one evening said goodnight to her son Alexander, only 14 at the time, only for it to be the last time he was seen alive. Apparently, the same day, he had opened up to his parents and admitted that he had gotten addicted to oxys. And just like Sammy, he allegedly used to get it through Snapchat. To help, Amy and her husband had immediately planned to send him to treatment, and before that, they said they thought they were doing everything right. I mean, they talked to him, checked his phone, and even turned on the internet at night. So it was a shock that, by the next morning, Alexander was gone. He apparently took one pill that night, which was supposed to be oxy, but it was fentanyl, a laced pill. Now, it would also become clear that
what is with the fent lacing, guys?
Impossible to trace conversations between these kids.
Fent's so hard to get. Why are you wasting it on lacing pills?
No, fent is so easy to get, so they cut it with other drugs.
Is that the last one?
Yeah, it's going to be. Christ.
And alleged dealers, and that the dealers know it. They would, for instance, use emojis and code words to sell pills and sell laced pills while at it. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you think I earned your subscription, make sure to subscribe. If you like the way
I think I'm subscribed to Tove.
I'm making my dog watch your stream, by the way.
Good.
Childhood injuries, part 2. Now, you haven't seen my first episode on this subject. Well, long story short, I've screwed myself up many a time as a stupid little kid in the 90s. So today, I'd like to talk about 3 more childhood injuries that I sustained because what the hell? I was a big stupid idiot back then. All right, here we go.
Number 1.
Now, this first story took place back when we would wrestle in the front yards as kids. Surprise, surprise. And on this particular day, I'm wrestling my friend Michael. Now, Michael was not my favorite person to wrestle because he was a dirty-ass fighter. He was notorious for, like, kicking people in the balls when they weren't looking.
Say something
he had like, a chokehold of some sort. He'd, like, lick your fucking forearm and shit.
Dirty-ass.
Ah, sick, Michael, what the hell?
Right, bro,
Well, on this particular day, instead of having, like, our normal run-of-the-mill wrestling match, my friend David decides to drag a fucking 10-foot ladder out of his garage, and we're gonna have ourselves a little ladder match in his front yard. Yeah, what the hell did you guys do for fun as kids? Play Duck Duck Goose like a bunch of pussies? Yeah, well, we had fucking ladder matches in the front yard on a Tuesday at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Dog.
No big deal, it's fine. It was normal back then. Now, the whole point of a ladder match is for you to beat the hell out of your friend to such a degree that you're able to scale a ladder and grab a styrofoam championship belt that you got at Kmart. If you did that,
We should try
champion of the front yard, you won. So me and Michael are out there wrestling, and by wrestling, I mean we're having a fucking fist fight on a ladder. I end up kicking Michael in the teeth. He falls to the ground and explodes on impact. And lo and behold, I'm at the top of the ladder, hoisting that Kmart Specialty Championship belt above my head. And that's it. The match is over. I won. Or so I thought, that is. Because that's when Michael's salty ass decides to do a haphazard missile drop kick. And next thing you know, I'm plummeting off the tippity top of the ladder. Now, out of all the things
over
you
the ladder,
would not
bro.
want to land on when you're
What
falling
is
off a
wrong
ladder,
with this
I'd say the
dude?
top of a fucking picket fence is pretty high up on the list. I fall crotch first on all the pointy parts of this picket fence, and I don't want.
He's dickless now, bro. He's dickless. He's dickless now.
To say that the fence went up my asshole, but you know, the fence kind of went up my asshole. In fact, it kind of totally wrecked my whole nether region down there. There's fucking blood everywhere. I'm not gonna get into graphic detail, but it was fucked up, all right? That's all you gotta know. Now, was Michael remorseful that he almost
This is something that would happen.
Well, probably not, considering he just walks over, fucking farts on me, and then he just goes home. That was it. All right, I'm done here. Fuck you guys and your stupid ladder matches. I'm going home to watch Animaniacs. Hey, at least I got that sweet styrofoam Kmart championship belt. That was completely worth it, right? No, probably not. Oh, well, what the hell.
Number 2.
All right, now this next story takes place back in my baseball days. And I'm over there standing on second base, looking at my coach over at third, who's standing there doing the fucking Macarena, which was our team's signal to steal third base. So I start running my little ass off like I just robbed a fucking Pet Supplies Plus. But what I didn't realize at the time was the other team's catcher was massive as hell. I don't know what year was on this kid's birth certificate or how many of his own kids were in the stands that day watching him play. But this big motherfucker threw that ball down to third base. I slide head first, and that ball hits me square right in the fucking eyeball. Within 30 seconds, my eyeball swells shut like I just lost a split decision with Apollo Creed and shit. My coach is standing there like, ah, right, way to use your head there. You're okay, right? Rub some dirt in it, you pussy. We got a game to win. Now, you'd think that after getting pelted in the eyeball with a baseball, I'd be done for the game, right? Well, you gotta remember this was like 20 years ago when nobody gave a shit about little kids. So my little ass stayed in the game. The next inning, I go into bat, and my depth perception is completely fucked at this point. The pitcher goes to throw the ball, and I don't even see the fucking pitch. Well, next thing you know, I get drilled right in the fucking neck. And I collapse on the ground like I just got shot by a rifle. Now, if you've never been decapitated by a fastball before as a kid, well, here's what happens next. First, there's a collective Jesus Christ from everybody in the stands. Jesus Christ! Then your coach yells down something along the lines of, hey, all right, that's as good as a base hit. Walk it off now, you're all right.
Yo,
Rub some dirt in it, you pussy. You got a baseball game to win. And then everybody on the planet takes a knee as they watch you hobble your broken ass down to first base. But hey, at least we won the baseball game, right? No, we didn't win the baseball game. In fact, we might have gotten mercy that game, and it was completely fucking pointless. Oh, well, what the fuck.
Number 3.
Okie dokie. Now, this last incident occurred while I was hanging out at my cousin David's house. And on this particular day, we were playing a little video game called Driver for the Sony PlayStation. Now, if you've never played Driver for the Sony PlayStation before, well, join the fucking club, because technically, I've never played it either. I mean, I've played the opening bullshit tutorial where you're stuck in a parking garage and you gotta do all these fucking car maneuvers within 60 seconds. I've played that part over and over and over again. You know why? Because it's impossible to get out of that goddamn thing. All this shit within 60 seconds? What the fuck is a slalom? Anybody have an idea? Well, not 9-year-old me and David, that's for sure. Well, after 45 minutes of us just getting our dicks slammed in a car door from Driver for the Sony PlayStation, we decide to head on down to the local library, because at the local library they got these magical internet boxes where you can go on
CheatCodeCentral.com
and you can find cheat codes for all sorts of video games. And maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to find a cheat code to get out of that godforsaken fucking parking garage and Driver for the Sony PlayStation. So we headed to David's garage to get some bikes. And David had 2 bikes at this time in his life. One was his sweet-ass orange mongoose, and the other was a broken-ass bike that had no pedals on it. Now, you might be sitting there watching this like, a bike with no pedals? How the hell do you ride a bike with no pedals on it? Oh, well, it's easy. All you gotta do is tie it up to the ass end of David's bike with a jump rope, and then you can have David Napoleon Dynamite your ass throughout the neighborhood like a complete fucking idiot. So there we are with our shitty man-made tandem bike from hell. David's pulling me along. My life is completely in his hands. I gotta mimic every fucking movie makes, or else I'm gonna screw myself
like
up 6 ways to Sunday. Somehow, we flawlessly make it all the way to the library parking lot, but that, of course, is where we encounter this big-ass fucking light post. Now, this all happened in a split second, but what happens next is David decides to go right of the light post, I decide to go left of the light post, and the jump rope stays right in the fucking middle. Well, since I'm about 50 pounds lighter than David's ass, I fling myself over the handlebars, I soar through the air like a goddamn Ninja Turtle, and then I scutter throughout the library parking lot like a fucking poorly animated cartoon character. Meanwhile, David is completely oblivious, fucking dragging a 10-speed behind him and shit. He finally stops and looks back, and he sees me in a bloody heap on the tarmac, and he doesn't even know what the hell happened. What the? Did you get assassinated? Did somebody shoot you with a rifle? What the fuck happened? And the only thing I can manage to mutter out is fucking light post, David, god damn it. But hey, at least we got that cheat code to get out of the parking garage for a driver for the Sony PlayStation, right? Oh, that's right. There is no fucking cheat code to get out of the parking garage for a driver for the Sony PlayStation. Doesn't that just suck ass? Oh, well, what the fuck? Who cares? So there you have it. Those are 3 more childhood injuries that I suffered as a kid. If you'd like to hear more of these stories about me getting hurt, well, let me know down in the comments.
Breath.
Alright, we got one more video for the night.
You can't beat the fucking
Stop a
nut.
vengeful demon from
We're gonna find
obtaining
out.
limitless power
You
beyond all
can't.
comprehension. What would you do? Apparently, Valak was just getting started. Not only has he come back from oblivion to wreak havoc on the holy, he's well on his way to uncovering a sacred relic that'll make him unstoppable. If our protagonist is gonna have any chance of foiling his evil plans, she'll have to chase the MacGuffin even harder than he does and use it to turn the tables, while also stopping herself from immediately handing it right to him. I'm going to break
going
down
to be
the mistakes
dark in
you
here
made,
from now
what
on,
you should do
because,
to beat
like, my
Valak
face cam
and
really
the
isn't
Nun
even-
2. Irene is kind of a big deal, unbeknownst to most of her
I guess I'll
sisters
keep
at
it
the
on, 'cause
convent.
sometimes you're
She's
gonna
the
see me,
very
sometimes
same
you won't.
nun who banished the demon Valak back to several years ago. You're not gonna hear that from her. These days, she's content with peacefully serving her faith out in God's
Boy,
country,
get up
where
there.
the sinful temptations of blue jeans and rock and roll can't find her. But unfortunately, Church has other plans. Following a restless night of vivid nightmares, starring her old pal
Keep
Frenchie,
coughing.
Irene is summoned to meet with the Cardinal as part of a special
is the
mission
Nun
coming
too.
straight from the Vatican. It seems one of their top
Have you not seen
clergymen,
this one?
Colonel Walter
I've only seen the first one.
Alright, fuck this then. I'm gonna end while I'm ahead. Thank you all for watching. I'll see y'all for another